Hey, Big Love fam. Welcome to Super Freak. This is a high vibe podcast, y'all, exploring all things frequencies, how they govern, form, shape our realities, and are the key to living from your full potential. It's non-woo convos about super woo shit, unpacking what I call the science of self, from body and soul literacy to the power of understanding vibration, higher consciousness, quantum physics, and spiritual psych. Let this podcast become a resource for you on your journey to self-mastery. If you're curious and ready to free your mind, unlock the body, and truly become limitless, then you're in the right place. I'm your host, Tally. This is Super Freak, Awakening for the Next Gen. Let's go. All right, everybody. In this week's clips, I want to talk about how you can help your body keep up at spirit level. Because many of you who are doing frequency work and have been in other modalities of transformation, whether that's therapy, yoga, medicine ceremonies, whatever it is that you're choosing to do, just general reflective work. I hear this a lot. Tally, I've been in the work for so long, right? Yeah, except being in the work and embodying that work are two very, very different things. So I work with a lot of psychologists, therapists, doctors, integrative health practitioners, and other healers who have done loads and loads of work, who are constantly in the inquiry of observation and self-reflection. And even these types have an edge when it comes up to embodying the work. So first, I want to talk about what that actually means, what it means to embody the work. And then the next thing I'll talk about is some steps that you can do to keep the body pacing with you. My definition of embodiment is intelligence. So it's basically your way of integrating what it is that you know. And it's so cellular that you don't even really think about it. You don't have to think about the answer. You've embodied the integration or the information into the cells, and you're just living from that now. So in psychology and in depth psych practices, there's a lot of conversation around containers. So when you have a very small container, you don't have a lot of bandwidth to handle, let's say, a lot of truth or a lot of trauma or a lot of reflection, or you can't recall things that have happened to you in the past because the nervous system doesn't know how to regulate with that. There's been too much assault on it. It's too hard, right? So in somatic practices, a lot of the time you're working on expanding your container, right? Expansion and contraction. Frequency work in general is, yes, me helping you guys at spirit level work at extremely deep levels. But an enormous part of it, which is why I'm always recalibrating the nervous system, is adjusting and regulating the nervous system. So every single session, in the beginning of the session, in the middle of the session, I'll have you guys refresh your nervous systems, upgrade it to this new information. At the trail end of the meditations, I'm having you guys upgrade your nervous systems, right? With the exercises that I take you guys through. It's a constant practice of checking in on where your nervous system is. The nervous system actually creates, in conjunction with the brain, the hologram, the simulations that you're going to actually experience. Deeply informs the experiences because the nervous system records everything. This is the electrical system of the body. So electricity is inherently masculine. So masculine creates structure for things. This is just in universal law. If you have learned and your system is regulated to be in a constant state of fight, flight, trauma, protect, then it will continue to create simulations for you to be able to experience that reflection back to you. It's not going to challenge you to, move beyond your edges and play the extreme sport game and constantly move and change because it doesn't like that. The brain is conditioned in conjunction with the nervous system. These two systems work in tandem to keep you safe. It operates off of predictive and qualitative information and operates off of patterns. It's going to take information that you experienced in the past in terms of algorithms and then create predictions for you to live out your future. Very few of us are living in a deeply present now. So I say all of that because embodying knowledge has to do with first becoming deeply aware of how you're creating your reality, Second, where that information is being stored in the body space, because the body holds the score. And then third, how you're actually transmuting that information, how you're moving through that patterned information in order to transmute it, in order to have some relief. You get the lesson, you get the learning, and then you move on. Yeah. So a lot of times in this work, I will help the body catch up because spirit understands. It can let go. Your higher self can let go. It's the body that has a harder time because it's in more density. So I will help the body that typically has a drag catch up. So how you can continue to help the body is you do body things. Get your body moving. Yeah. Second, make sure you're eating high vibrational foods that are closer to their original source. You guys hear me talk about this a lot. I have a 7-day raw vegan challenge on the Telegram channel. By the time you listen to this, it will start the next day. So join that. Another thing you can do, ladies, this is for you specifically, is you can start to sync your workload and how you operate and navigate your life in terms of social decisions, activities, things like that based on your cycle. So start to pay attention to your hormones and let your hormones lead the way. I'll do a whole other episode on that, but pay attention to your cycle and honor your cycle in terms of how you're nourishing yourself, eating nourishing foods. So foods that are closer to source, keep in mind everything is energy. So the more you cook for yourself and you put love into that food and you feed yourself, everything is in a high state of gratitude. And then just from a biomechanics perspective, you kind of want to do things that shock the body. So the body kind of likes to be surprised because it's constantly trying to evolve its cellular makeup. It's trying to evolve the way that it survives. It wants to optimize. So cells like to be a little bit surprised. So you could into intermittent fasting and autophagy. Absolutely big fan of this and seen this in my own life have profound effects. So after 72 hours, your body kicks in from 24, 48, and then 72. You go into ketosis, homeostasis, and then you kick in your growth hormone after 72. Ladies, do not do this during the beginning part and the latter part of your cycle. When your estrogen is way high, you can do some fasting during that time. So middle part, kind of when you're more fertile, for those of you who are still having cycle periods, you can fast during that time. Again, I'll do a whole other podcast on this, but that's just a little heads up. The second thing you want to do is if you're taking a hot shower, at the very end of that shower, just pop in like 30 seconds of cold. The body's like, hey, that was unexpected. What's that? And then another thing you could do is constantly getting into nature, but like raw nature if you can, because the frequencies of nature are always present. That's why people who get into nature love it, because it forces you into the present moment. It's very unnatural to be in cities for as long as we are all the time in and out. It's an energy grid system that kind of sucking your energy. If you think about cities like modern cities, especially in the West, they literally look like a hard drive. And that energy source requires people that are living in it to utilize our own bioenergy in order to sustain the system. So move yourself out of cities as much as you can and get into raw nature. And then obviously present practices, meditations, things like this. There's other body things that you can do in terms of network spinal analysis. If you feel called to do that, you can do acupuncture, orthopedic manual therapy. That's a fantastic way to get into your body. Any type of deep massage, any type of relaxation, body work, cupping, things like this. And then another thing you can do, if this aligns with the way that you like to exercise, is interval training. So some type of short, punchy exercises that will kind of surprise and jolt the nervous system and jolt the muscles and jolt the body into reorienting itself for a bit. When you do high interval training like that, your body has an opportunity to learn something new about itself, and it kind of wakes up the cells. It's like, oh, hey, what are we doing here? I mean, I am not a high intensity workout person. I was an athlete for a very long time in high school, throughout younger grade school, things like that. Now I definitely am more in my yin era. So for me to actually kickstart my high, any type of high intensity workouts, I'm not an enormous fan, but what I really enjoy is like deep cold water plunges. So I love getting into nature. I love getting into freezing cold water. I will shock the hell out of myself. I will go in several times between a few minutes. And that for me is just absolutely delicious. And I love it. But you find what works for you and then stay consistent with it. Keep in mind, we're here to have a relationship with our bodies, not ignore it. We're learning how to be in our bodies. We're learning how to work with the rhythm of nature, how to slow down a little bit, how to honor what that feels like and be in relationship to it. So a recent revelation for me of letting literally my hormones drive my entire life is kind of embarrassing to talk about into my 40s at this point, because I kind of just like, hey, it's no big deal. My hormones are just there and, I get my cycle every month and that's okay. But I'm going to, build my business and set my schedule this way. I have tapped out. My body is asking me for a way, way, way deeper sense of surrender. And so I am honoring that. And I can't wait to tell you guys about what I'm learning and insights into what that means and how it's going to change what I feel, how it's going to change the way that I am operating, and hopefully give you guys permission along the way to burn the rule book, baby. Something else, and I'll finish with this, with body literacy, is, again, understanding when you want to turn things off. So it may mean that you need to make hard decisions about people, places, and things. Your environment, your cells have to have a good environment. Number one, the environment has to be conducive for change and you have to feel fully supported. So people, places, things. Are you hanging out with the same people? Are you afraid to make change? And then I'll finish with this. Magnesium baths. So I'm talking if you want to do coffee enemas, if you are interested in getting oxygen IVs, those are fantastic. The body needs oxygen. I mean, these are, again, additional, depending on what you guys can afford, whatever. Not necessary, just saying it's an option, but taking care of the nurturing aspect of you. Everybody is in a hyper state of vigilance. We don't even give ourselves 15 minutes to rest. I've had to check myself with that as well while being in the northern part of the foresty area of Albania. Can I actually turn things off? And, I haven't been able to have Wi-Fi here, and that's been really fantastic at times. But my nervous has been like, I have things I need to get done. So I've been in the work too of being able to regulate and turn down that hypervigilance, hyperdoing state. Magnesium baths, nurturing aspects of yourself, enter your king and queen era. Don't be afraid to move into things that that are maybe uncomfortable for you, and take some space from toxic people, places, and things around you. Get into nature. Challenge the body a little bit from the status quo and the norms in terms of patterns. And I will see you guys on the next episode. Thanks so much for listening, you guys. Please make sure to leave a review and follow the fun on social media, because that's how it works in this world. In the meantime, get your freak on. I'll see you in the next session.